video is the third and final video in a series that I decided to do looking at one-pack wanderers in Tasmania. So if you haven't caught the first two videos, I'll add the link for them below. And if you're new to my channel, I should probably bring you up to speed. I'm a former Tasmanian, and I've also said on multiple occasions that I'm a huge fan of one-pack wanderers. So naturally, when they did their trip to Tasmania, first of all, brilliant content. I absolutely loved it and just loved every minute of it. But I just could not leave it. I had to do a reaction to their Tassie videos. And not just one, I wanted to do their entire Tassie series because it was just great. And for me, there was a lot of vicarious experiences, and also I feel that there are insights that I can add. So let's jump in and have a look at their third video of their trip to Tasmania. Now I will mention that in all these videos I've actually only used clips from their videos. The reason for that being, for starters, their videos are a good length. You almost feel satisfied by the end. I would be quite happy to watch a full hour of these guys anytime, but they do give you a really good video with so much content. So clearly for me to do a reaction to their entire video would be too much unless I was to break it into parts. But the other reason is that I highly recommend that you go to their channel and watch these videos from start to finish for yourself, because they are so enjoyable. So that's the other reason why I've left out chunks of these videos. So I'll leave the link for their Tassie videos below, as well as the link for my two videos looking at the first two of their Tassie videos. So let's get into it.
Good morning!
Good morning, everybody. We're still in Hobart.
We've actually been here for 7 days, like a full week.
Yeah, It kind of just sucked us in, to be honest.
It kept extending our hotel stay. It was so peaceful and nice and like an amazing city. So
Also this place right here, Pilgrim Coffee. Pretty good cup of coffee for sure. They have a really nice espresso machine.
yeah.
I'm so glad that they enjoyed Hobart. It does have that real country town feel about it. There is just something unique about Hobart. Personally, I wouldn't choose to live there again, but that's just me. But it certainly has a nice feel about it, and it's got some gorgeous old buildings. As for the coffee, I've heard that Pilgrim Coffee is good. I've heard that from a few sources now. And I think what we're starting to see is that Tasmania is starting to get the idea from Victoria that good coffee is worthwhile. So I believe that there are a few coffee roasters starting to become established in Tassie, definitely in like the southern area, and you are starting to see places that do have pretty good coffee there.
Yeah, actually, I want to apologize. We've been receiving a untold amount of emails. Our website was put down for a little while. People have been wondering about the fuel efficiency with Bella.
How many thousands of people, huh?
Hundreds of thousands at this point.
Okay.
So yeah, we've been getting 6.9 liters per 100K. If you consider the way that Tia drives...
Oh my god.
No, honestly, the situation in Tasmania is basically there are no straight flat roads on this island.
Okay, first of all, it's really bugging me. I cannot figure out what street this is. So if you're familiar with Hobart, you can tell me what street it is, because I cannot figure it out at all. He is so spot on about driving in Tasmania. There's very few straight roads. Most of the time it's all windy, unless of course you get the Midlands Highway and stuff like that. Other thing I noticed, which is a plus for Tasmania, was the cost of fuel there. don't get me wrong, it is still quite a bit more expensive than what you would pay in Victoria. I don't know what other states are like, but it seems like they are closing the gap a little bit. Used to be that you would be paying at least 20 cents more in Tasmania than you would in Victoria. Looking at this, I think it's come down to maybe 15 cents more. I haven't looked at what the fuel prices are this week because they seem to keep changing, but certainly I think the gap has closed a little bit, so good news for Tasmanians. Perhaps for the moment you're not being ripped off quite as much.
Tia is making very sure that the park pass is displayed in a clear area because a couple days ago in Launceston she got a ticket that she wasn't able to talk her way out of. Anyways.
Okay, apologies to Tasmanians, but one of the first things I discovered when I moved to Victoria was that in Victoria there is a conspicuous lack of bureaucratical tosses. And unfortunately in Tasmania there are far too many bureaucratical tosses. So I feel sad that Tia had that experience, and I think that's one thing that Tassie needs to take a close look at itself, and people need to maybe start stepping up and saying, hey, we've had enough of these bureaucratical tosses. There is a better way of doing things, because it does leave a sour taste when someone is just so unwilling to negotiate and so determined to, be a bureaucratical tosser.
We're in Mountfield National Park, and you can definitely tell that it is the off season. There's so many like little fish and chips places and stuff on the side of the road that all say like closed for the season. So we're here to check out a waterfall.
Okay, so if someone's been to Mountfield in like the last 5 years or so, I have a question. Because looking at this, it looks like it's become very touristy in terms of the car park and the entrance to the national park. So my question is this: have they done away with the barbecue sheds? Because for me, my experiences of going to Mountfield National Park is going there as a family day trip, having a barbecue at the barbecue huts, and then hiking to Russell Falls. And it was a full experience. It wasn't just you pull up in the car park and you hike out along to Russell Falls, then you come back and hop in your car and go. It was about making a day of it, a family excursion. And yet what I'm seeing here looks like some sort of, tourist centre there in the background, and it looks like a very touristy kind of car park now. So yeah, let me know. I'm very curious about that.
Wow, it sounds like Japan here, doesn't it? Just like that alive feeling of the forest. This is the second, I believe, of the 60 short Great Walks of Tasmania that we've done.
It's like a full-on rainforest here. I'd say this has more in common with far north Queensland than anywhere we've ever seen in the south of Australia. Look at the size of these ferns. Oh, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the Otways National Park in Victoria, not like far north Queensland. Before anyone comments.
I'm glad that he did actually correct himself, because I was going to say, like, you're looking at a temperate climate as opposed to a tropical climate. Not the same thing. Okay, so they mentioned that they were at Mountfield National Park, but I'm not sure that they mentioned exactly where they were in terms of where this waterfall is. This waterfall is Russell Falls, and in my opinion, this is one of the most wonderful places you can go to in Tasmania. There's just a feel about the place. Um, I have lots of fond memories of going there, but I will give you one warning. Now, I'm not sure what season leeches come out or whether it's an all year round thing, but because it is such a damp place, there are actually leeches there. So it is definitely worth following the signage, and if it tells you to stay on the path, stay on the path. Because otherwise you are going to have to check yourself carefully for leeches afterwards. But I'm so, so glad that they went here, because like I said, this is one of Tasmania's hidden gems, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, when you travel a lot, waterfalls are one of those things for me that I've become quite desensitized to. But that being said, I will say this waterfall is absolutely picturesque.
Yeah, the tears.
Yeah, the way it's tiered and like all the moss and plant life growing on it. It looks like a waterfall out of that the King Kong movie from like 10 or 15 years ago. This looks like Skull Island. It's gorgeous. It's so pretty.
Okay, I'm going to say they definitely dodged a bullet there, because had they been like waterfalls, seen one, seen them all, I might not have forgiven them, because like I said, I love Russell Falls. And I have to comment on, once again, on their beautiful cinematography. I'm looking at this and it looks like a Peter Dombrowski photograph. If you're not familiar with Peter Dombrowski, do a Google search to see some of his images, but he was a very, very popular Tasmanian photographer back in the 80s or 90s, whatever. And he used to go to places like this and just get the most stunning natural photography. And a lot of people used to have calendars or prints up on their walls. It was like, you knew it was a good quality photo if it was a Peter Dombrowski print. And this to me is almost on par with Peter Dombrowski.
We're in the tall trees now. That's what this walk is called. I think they're gum trees, but they're huge. Also, the birds are very, very nice right now.
Always talking about the birds.
Whatever, it's pretty.
Whatever, dude.
Let's do Tia for scale on that one.
Right there?
Yeah. Look at the size of this. There she is. There's Tia.
Wow. Can you imagine the sound this tree probably made when it fell?
Yeah.
I left that little last bit in just to show you just how wonderful the birds are. There's nothing quite beats being in the middle of the bush and just being surrounded by birdsong. So I think they've really captured it perfectly.
Man, I was looking forward to this.
What's it say?
It says closed June, July, August.
Oh, it's like a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
Ah, bummer.
The plan was to stop at the Wall, which is an amazing 100-meter long wood carving. And it's incredibly beautiful, and a lot of people told us that we had to go, but they're closed for the season, which a lot of things are. A lot of raspberry farms, lavender farms, and of course, closed for the season. But yeah, bummer.
I reckon we're gonna have to come back. I just went back to an American accent halfway through the
Yeah, he
sentence.
slapped the steering wheel. That was weird.
We're gonna have to come back to Tasmania in the summer. That's gonna be the next Australia trip. We're gonna come in the summer.
Yeah.
I was so glad when I heard him say this, because they missed out on so many places in Tasmania. And I think some of them would be more enjoyable during summer, like Maria Island, for example. So it's good to know that they do plan on coming back and doing a summer trip here in Tassie. Or they're in Tassie, I'm not in Tassie anymore. But It also is a shame that places like West Coast and Derwent Valley aren't making the most of the tourist industry and are closing places during the off season. I get that obviously you probably don't get the same number of tourists through, but perhaps this is something that Tasmanian government needs to look at and needs to find a way of supporting businesses in this area so they can open all year round and can therefore attract more tourism. Just a thought.
So way over on the other side of those mountains, it was about 2 hours ago, was the wall, the thing that we stopped at that was closed. And I was not expecting this in Tasmania, but the entire 2-hour drive from there to here, we did not see one other vehicle. It was just twisty road the entire time, and it was like driving in the outback. It was actually less trafficked than a lot of places in the outback.
Though. There was nobody.
Yeah. Anyways, we're over this awesome, I mean, it's so pretty. It's just a 360. This thing right here comes out, and it's right over this, like, I don't know.
It's a mine, I think.
Yeah, it's an old mine that looks like it was flooded.
So this whole area is pretty famous because it's completely devoid of the vegetation that it's supposed to have. Because the mining operations in this area, unfortunately, it created acid rain.
Yeah.
And it killed everything.
Yeah, it's slowly coming back. Things have since changed. The mines are shut down. No more acid rain. It's slowly coming back. But it's actually created a really beautiful effect, if I'm being honest, where it's just this 360 view, and the visibility is so good because there's nothing on these mountains.
It's like a very optimistic way of looking at it.
It is
I just
beautiful.
think it looks like we're like on a different planet or something.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
Okay, another apology is probably in order here, but I think that explains why people in Queenstown are just a little bit different. I also have to say, they've been saying for the last 20, 30 years that it's slowly coming back, and to be honest, it really doesn't look like there's been much of a difference in the last 20 years.
This is Strahan. It's a small port community. They do have river cruises here. I think that's mostly what this town is known for. These cruises will take you up the river. They're very pricey though, so we're actually saving a little bit of money today, and we're gonna go sandboarding instead. You can rent them here in the visitor center. Yeah. Also, I've already talked about this, but we really underestimated how many things would be closed in this part of Tasmania in the off season. We wanted to go out for breakfast this morning and get a nice breakfast at a cafe, and there's something like 6 or 7 cafes in this town, and only one was actually open for the season. Yeah. What is going on with that boat? Where's sandboards?
Those are tennis clothes.
No, it's not.
It's closed.
Was it? It's a Wednesday.
I know. It's Wednesday at like noon, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we can just walk to the top of the sand dune and then get on our butts and scoot down. That'll be fun.
Okay, first of all, I was super impressed with Chevio actually managing to pronounce Strahan, because you hear so many bastardizations like Strahan and stuff like that. So, huge shout out to him for that. But as for places in Tasmania all being closed in the winter, come on Tasmania, you're making yourself look like a joke. There needs to be something put in place to keep Tasmanian tourism operating, because that is a big thing for the Tasmanian economy. And if you've got the West Coast and the Derwent Valley pretty much shut down half the year, you're going to kill your tourism economy. So I think the government needs to stop and take another look at what they personally are doing to promote tourism within Tasmania, because it's going to go back to the days before the big tourism boom, the way things are going by the looks of it.
If we were just keep heading west from here, we would miss South Africa and just end up in South America, I reckon.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know off the top of my head how many miles that is.
A lot.
That's a lot. It really feels like we're standing on the edge of the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that knowledge of how remote this is and the emptiness that we're staring at that just makes it so much better for me.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Also, I don't know how apparent it is in this recording, but it almost feels like we're standing amongst the clouds. Like they look like they're so low that they'd almost touch the trees around us.
Well, the fog is starting to kind of come down.
Yeah, you can see back here there's totally like a gnarly storm moving in.
Yeah, the clouds are moving so fast. Do you see that?
Yeah. I'm kind of glad we're here in the off season. I'm not gonna lie. I know I was complaining about it earlier, but it's really nice to be here alone. It's one of my favorite parts about Australia in general.
And the vibes on off season are so different.
It's kind of
right?
eerie. It's
Yeah.
like a beautiful eerie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems like, barring snow, they've experienced all the elements of a Tasmanian winter in terms of weather. Now, they're saying, oh, I'm glad we came in the off season because of, it's so isolated and it's so quiet. But places like that where they are, I can't see them being crowded. I've not been to the West Coast in decades, so I don't know, but come on, it's the West Coast. It's not the most popular tourist destination. It's definitely worth going there to explore and check it out, but it's just worth knowing that it is going to be cold and wet for most of the year. So, in terms of locals, as in Tasmanians, visiting the West Coast, it's not something that people do on a regular basis. It's not like going, hey, let's go to the shack on the East Coast for the weekend. It is more of a, hey, let's go for a road trip and we'll head to Strahan because we haven't been there for 10 years or something like that. So there's definitely a difference even within the state as far as destinations.
For the last hour or so, we've been in this tunnel of trees and it's been raining really hard and very cloudy and foggy. And then we just broke through it and holy moly, look at this. Words cannot describe how pretty this is. What do you think?
It's so pretty. You can kind of hear like a buzzing noise coming off this power line. I don't know if it's the electricity running through it or what, but I love stuff like that. So
I like how there's this amazing view right here and he's talking about this power line.
the rain is catching up to us. It's about to overtake the car parked down on that road right there. Love, let's go.
Just gotta love Tassie weather, haven't you? It's so hideous for so much of the year.
So the goal today is to get over that mountain, essentially. We're doing a long walk today. You excited?
Yeah, look at it. Look at this. How can I not be?
She had free breakfast this morning,
Oh my gosh, I loaded up.
in a good mood.
This whole area is really famous because there are a ton of wombats, and we're a couple feet in. Also over there too. I've heard. Have you read that they have square poop? So I'm gonna be looking out for that.
No, they don't.
Like cubed, like they're cubed poop.
What?
Fun fact of the day.
What the heck? They are. What? Why? That's so weird.
It's cute.
That's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. No, I mean, we've seen wombats before, but that one was built like a tank.
Yeah, they look like really cute, cuddly,
Look like bears.
teddy bears. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the driver of the bus is like, don't go near them because they bite really, really hard.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Don't try to pet them.
They truly are built like tanks. I had an aunt who raised one from a baby, and eventually he got released somewhere in the area, and went off to make his own life. But he actually got himself out one day and got himself run over. Basically, his head got run over, and he didn't even flinch. He just shook his head and walked away from it, because they have got that solid plate in their head, which is to do with their burrowing and stuff like that. So they are solid tanks, and they can go pretty damn fast when they want to. And yes, you don't piss off a wombat, because when they come at you, they will hurt you. They definitely chose the right time of year to be doing the Cradle Mountain walk. Possibly would have been a little bit nicer had there been snow, but at the same time, I guess that makes it a little bit more bearable in terms of walking, and I guess it means that Cheviot can wear his sandals, because I'm willing to bet they were careful not to show us their feet in these shots, but I'm willing to bet that Cheviot was like, me, I don't feel the cold, I'm going to wear my sandals anyway. So I love that they've done this Cradle Mountain walk, and I love when they do walks like this, because these are things that some of us just don't experience. So they just do such a great job with stuff like this. Confession, I've actually never been to Cradle Mountain. I can't tell you why, I just never have. So I love when I see videos put out by people like these guys that showcase Cradle Mountain, because this could be the only way that I will experience it.
We're in a town called Stanley, a very, very small town. The grocery store here isn't even an IGA, that's how small it is. We came mostly for this. It's called The Nut.
Is there actually anything in Stanley other than the nut? So long since I've been, but I don't remember anything else.
So this is the nut. I was reading that it used to be a volcano, and now it's nut. I really like that you can see down the coast in both directions, and I never realized how rocky the coastline is here.
Yeah.
How mountainous. You can see really far. It's stunning.
Way, way beyond the horizon over there is Victoria somewhere, which is actually where we're ending up today.
My memory of the nut is of it being really, really windy, so I think they did well to have been up there on a particular day when it wasn't super windy. At the same time, it makes me sad that this was their last day in Tasmania.
This is leatherwood honey.
Yeah, so this is what we got on Bruny Island the other day.
Tia's already had it.
Yeah. Okay, here you go.
Oh,
Oh no.
well, it actually tastes a lot different.
Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if... Look at that. That's the honeycomb part. And it's like this really rich amber color. And it kind of tastes like, it's kind of savory on the inside, right?
Yeah, it's much different than regular honey. Oh, I really like that. Yeah.
Like, we're just in this parking lot eating honeycomb at like 10 in the morning.
Do you like it?
It's not my favorite. I love the dark chocolate on the outside. But I like it to be sweet through and through.
You don't like oysters.
I like the cooked one.
You don't like the leatherwood honey. You have to have a sophisticated palate. Come here.
Okay, I'm with Tia on the raw oysters. Don't like them at all. Although I have since discovered also that I'm allergic to oysters, so that's probably why I didn't like them. That said, I do like the oysters Kilpatrick, which is what she was talking about. As for leatherwood honey, I can appreciate why Tia wouldn't like it as much as regular honey, because she's got quite a sweet tooth. I'm glad Cheviot loves it, because to me it is one of the nicest honeys out there. And one of those things where I think, if someone from my family was headed to Tasmania and I was giving them a list of things to bring back, I'd be like, get me a tub of leatherwood honey. The honeycomb, I did look it up, you can actually buy it online. Of course, by the time you pay for the cost of the honeycomb and the cost of postage, it becomes a little bit expensive. So it would have to be something that you were really, really wanting to indulge yourself with. And you'd probably want to buy a few things to make it worth the cost of the postage.
This is the real reason why you're here. Look at him! So we're in the town called Penguin.
Tia for scout.
Ready?
Yep. There she is. There's Tia.
Now, if like me, you are a fan of One Pack Wanderers, you would agree that that was the perfect way for them to finish their trip to Tasmania. Because Tia for scale is just one of the things that they do everywhere. And it is something that I get disappointed in if it doesn't happen. Although I think they've learned now that we're a pretty demanding bunch and we do expect Tia for scale in at least one part of each of their videos. So they've covered a lot of Tasmania. They've done some pretty good showcasing of Tasmania, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the videos that they made. But there are so many things that they missed out on. So I'm glad they have said that they want to come back and do a summer trip. I'm going to mention a few places that I believe that they need to go to on their next trip. And I'd love to hear from other people, leave comments below, of what you believe are places that they should go to on their next Tassie trip. Definitely, I think that they need to go to Richmond. I know it is seen as quite a touristy spot, but it still has a real charm about it. And I think if you go to Tasmania, you just have to go to Richmond, and you have to go to the Richmond Bakery. The bridge is the oldest bridge in Australia, and, Tia and Chev, if you are listening, I can word you up as to the quiet places to go in Richmond that are away from the tourists. Other places, I think Ross is beautiful, lovely little country town. Another lovely bakery there. Oatlands, not a huge amount to see, but it's worth driving through. Check out the mill, definitely. Bruny Island, 100% somewhere that they need to go. Definitely a summertime thing, because I would even recommend staying overnight on Bruny Island. There's some really lovely walks there, and if it is warm enough, then it is actually quite nice, some of those beaches, swimming at some of those beaches, because the water is kind of warm there. So Bruny Island is definitely another one on my list. Big one for me is I'd really love to see some content creators head down the Huon Valley. There's so much to see there, and nobody has done a good showcase of the Huon Valley, which is such a shame. Now, perhaps for Tia and Chev, it might be a same old, but doing a cruise on the Derwent River is something I would also recommend. And if you're headed south, down Huon Way, etc., then Esperance, Hastings Caves, so many wonderful spots down south that it seems they get forgotten by content creators. Everyone seems to go to the same places when they visit Tasmania, and there's so much more to see. Thanks for listening. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And leave a comment below. Did you enjoy what I've looked at here with their trip to Tasmania? And are there other places that you would recommend for travellers going to Tasmania?
Moments like this are always bittersweet. The excitement of what's to come is weighed knowing that the current adventure is drawing to an end. Tasmania was the ideal way to close this chapter of our Australian Odyssey. The island is uniquely its own, but it still retains the elements that we love about this country. The endlessly winding roads, the natural landscape, and most importantly, the warm, friendly people.